All right, so let's look at this first one. Now, they made this one a little tough because everything's in decimals. But basically, if they say BK is a median, I'm going to ask you this question. What is K? The point K has to be a what? Midpoint. Because B is a vertex. Does that make sense, everybody? So basically, on your side AC, you're trying to find halfway on that. Okay, I would have done this, or here's what I did. I know from A to C, count straight down. Does everybody agree you count down 1, 2, let me do it again, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of 5 is 2.5, so go down 2, go down a half, go directly to the right. That is your midpoint. And you can draw it in. Okay, is everybody good on that? Okay, now on B, you could find the centroid a couple different ways. One, you could draw in another median. Or two, what could I do with the 3 points, the vertices? Average them. Okay, so if you average them, you should get 0, 0. Now, the other thing that should happen is it should fall on your median, shouldn't it? Which it does. And then if Kn is a mid-segment, that means K, so point K and point N are both what? Stay with me here. It's been a long hour and a half, I realize. Focus just a couple more minutes. All right, so K is a midpoint, isn't it? So N also has to be a midpoint. So basically, you're finding a midpoint on BC. Now, the reason I knew that's because it said it had to be parallel to AB, so it can't be on AB. And you can do it the same way. All right, let's learn about altitude. Basically, altitude is going to be pretty short. Okay, so let's fill in these blanks. Another word for altitude is height. And remember, the height and base have to be perpendicular. If you're wondering how you could fit the word perpendicular in there, you don't have to use the word perpendicular. You could use what? The symbol is an upside down T. Boom, boom. So the symbol for perpendicular is an upside down T. Straight down, straight across. The altitude in the triangle has to start with the vertex and is perpendicular to the opposite side. Now, most of these are pretty straightforward, but I do want to point out two things. Okay, if I have a right triangle, okay, is everybody looking at me now? Is everybody good? All right, so if we look at this one, on a right triangle, where is it? An altitude is also going to be a what of the triangle? Well, height, yes, that's right. But like, I'm looking for kind of guess what I'm thinking here. I don't want to. So like this side right here, is that also an altitude? It is in this case, isn't it? Everybody stop and listen. So when you have a right triangle, because remember the rule is it goes from a vertex perpendicular, correct? So in this case, the altitude is actually the side, isn't it? Does that make sense? This other side is also an altitude because it would be right. You guys with me on that? So anytime you have a right triangle, the two altitudes will be two sides. Now the other one you could draw in going straight across, but these two would be altitudes. And then sometimes the triangle is going to be leaned over, which means the altitude will not be inside of the triangle. It's going to be where? It's going to have to be outside of it. Does that make sense? So that could happen. All right, now I'm going to show you how you can construct it. You can do this along as you're going or try it later. But basically, I just wanted to show you how it works. And then I want to show you the two things that happen with an altitude. All right, so you see this side right here. Okay, we want to make a line that goes through this point. Now, we've done problems like that, right? Made a perpendicular line through a point. That's what you're really doing. This point, I want it to be perpendicular with that line. So the way we did that was we took our compass. I put my point on the vertex. Okay. And then I made an arc. Does that make sense, everybody? So that arc has to cross in 2 places. So you got to make your arc work. You can't just make it however big or small you want it to be. It has to be like a certain size so that it will cross in 2 places. And where it crosses in those 2 places, now you come down here and make an arc like that. Okay, so from these 2 points, I made those arcs. And now what will happen is I can draw in that line and it will be perpendicular. So I'll go through this point, go through that one, and that would be an altitude. Everybody good with that? Now I did this, so from this point here, I made this arc right there. Then from these 2 points, I made an arc. And now I can draw it through here, and I have this one. So that right there would be where they cross. Okay? So you guys do on your paper, do that. If you don't have a compass, draw it in at least so you can see it. Does that make sense, everybody? So there would be how many altitudes in a triangle? 3. There would be 3 altitudes in a triangle. Now, once you get those drawn in, it'd probably be better to put on this front page with it, but that meet center where they cross, it is an orthocenter. So the point where all 3 altitudes meet is going to be an orthocenter. So my question right now is, everybody understand what an altitude is? Okay, have an idea of how we could try to draw it in. We might need to practice that. And then where they cross is an orthocenter. If you flip to the back of the notes, there's a spot you can write in the orthocenter. So the point where the lines containing the altitudes are concurrent is called the orthocenter of a triangle. So where all 3 altitudes meet is an orthocenter. And there's nothing we're going to learn about the orthocenter like we did on the other ones. We just need to know that it's an orthocenter. So I'm going to let you try these other 2 problems, but basically giving you a hint. If the only thing you know about an orthocenter is that's where the altitudes meet, and the only thing we know about an altitude is it goes from a vertex straight down, making what angle? A 90. So if they give you a problem, basically it has to have something to do with a 90-degree angle. You guys with me on that? Somehow they're going to have to throw in something they're working with a 90-degree angle, which means could there be a Pythagorean theorem problem? Yes. Or there's angles somehow adding up to be 90. Okay, so you guys try 1 and 2 down there, and then we'll go over those.